Hey, I'm Jeff. Welcome back. Today we're going to cover the latest transmission kit for Chevy and GMC trucks, specifically the popular GMT400 and GMT800 series trucks. So these trucks, if you have one or if you've been shopping for them, you know they're very popular. They are super easy to work on. I've had a few myself, and this kit is a natural fit for these trucks. So if you find one that has a bad transmission, maybe a bad engine, most guys are doing LS swaps, have been for a long time. LSs are super easy to build, and this kit pairs very nicely with the LS engine, the new LT, or even if you're going to stick with an old 350 small block in the GMT400 series, works with that great too. And we have a package for both. So this is pretty much a one-stop shop. What you're going to be missing in this kit, two things. One is a clutch pedal, and two is the clutch master cylinder. Now these trucks are easy. You can find clutch pedals easily for both, especially the GMT800. You can buy a brand new clutch pedal. Last time I looked on Amazon, they were like 80 bucks. You can also buy the clutch master cylinder, any parts house, right? AutoZone, O'Reilly, Advanced Auto Parts, all carry the master cylinders for these. Rock Auto. So it's easy to do a swap on these. And the even on the GMT800, there's, I don't remember the name of the company, but there's a steel clutch pedal conversion being made for those. The factory ones are plastic, and actually I've been known to fatigue and break, so that steel one might be a good option. But anyway, two things you're going to need for these kits: clutch pedal, clutch master cylinder, and do your drive shaft. And then once you do that, you're done. You'll have some tuning on the ECU on the GMT800 trucks just to eliminate the transmission function. Not as familiar with the GMT400 ECUs, TCU, whatever they have. When you yank the automatic, if that's going to cause any issues, I'm sure it's going to cause a check engine light. But stuff is easily addressed. So anyway, let's dive into it. I'll cover the parts and we'll go from there. All right, so starting at the front or back of the engine, the first thing you're going to get is a pilot bearing. This goes in the crank, and that supports the input shaft, right? So you get a pilot bearing for the crank. Next step, you're going to have a flywheel. This will be a McLeod Racing billet steel flywheel. Back from there, we have the clutch. This particular model is the McLeod Racing Super Street Pro. You're going to have a hydraulic bearing. This hydraulic bearing and line are going to adapt to the stock clutch master cylinder with this fitting. So that makes it super easy. Just use a stock replacement clutch master cylinder, adapt this hose. This hydraulic bearing we use, it's made by FTE Automotive. I've been selling it for numerous years, several years, almost 18 years, I guess. Works very well, long life, 300,000 mile service life on these, and they work great. So moving backwards, you're going to have the bell housing. And this bell housing kit comes with steel, not plastic, inspection covers or dust covers. Not inspection covers, dust covers. And unlike most bell housings in the market, we include offset dowel pins. Once you check your bell housing runout, if you determine that you're out of spec and you need to correct your bell housing runout, you already have the pins. You don't have to buy those extra. And tagging along with the bell housing runout for the 6-speed, the hole in the back of the bell housing is not concentric, and so you need a plate to dial in your bell housing and check the runout. So we make these plates. This bolts to the bell housing on the back side, the transmission side, and that gives you a nice concentric circle to check your bell housing runout. Bolts, obviously bolts, flywheel bolts, pressure plate bolts, transmission bolts, engine to trans, and trans to bell. Pigtails, you have pigtails for your backup lights, your speed sensor, and your reverse lockout solenoid. Get a rubber mount, isolator mount, bolts for that. We provide a nice shifter boot, trim ring, and the screws that go with that. Now the shifter stick, I've got a couple of options. We typically use the 16-inch aluminum shifter stick, black knob. This is not bolted on, it's just kind of on here. This is the TREMEC Magnum. This is the superstar of the show, right? So that's the TREMEC Magnum 6-speed. These are available in wide ratio and close ratio. The gearing and the close ratio is 266, 178, 130, 1:1, 0.80, and 0.63. Now the wide ratio is geared a little bit lower in first, second, and third. That's going to be a 297, 210, and 146 in those gear positions. One thing that we do here is we dive into your project and we talk to you in detail about your build. And once we dive into that and understand what you're doing, we can make recommendations on the gearing, wide ratio or close ratio. Now in this particular one, we have the shifter moved up into the mid position, and this is going to be the closest to the factory, what would have been the factory manual transmission shift position in those trucks. So that's why we move that forward. So that gives you a better shifter position with a shifter stick. So again, the Magnum 6-speed, it's been on the market since 2010, so we're 15 years deep on the Magnum. It's proven, it's reliable, shifts great, very strong, handles a ton of power. And then we get the oils. You get the hydraulic fluid, break-in oil, and the oil to put in after break-in. Now this little box here, this is a reverse lockout controller. On these transmissions, you have a reverse lockout solenoid. And if you get your transmission out of the box and you're trying to go through the gears, you're not going to get into reverse. These have a solenoid that blocks out reverse. And what that box does, at parking lot speeds, it will energize that solenoid so you can get into reverse easily. Once you exceed that speed, turns it off, and off you go. So anyway, you do need that solenoid. So basically that concludes the GMT400 and GMT800 series trucks Magnum 6-speed kit by Silver Sport Transmissions. Please give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about your project. We do talk about things in detail with you to make sure you're getting all of the parts that you need and no parts that you don't. We do this every day. This is what we specialize in, and we will be glad to help you. So give us a call or hit our website, shiftsst.com.